Welcome to the Pool Nation podcast, where it's all pool talk. And we ain't talking about netting and jetting or splashing and dashing. We're talking about becoming a nation of pool pros. We talk about the latest products, trends, and training in the pool industry. Now let's welcome your host, with over a decade of industry insider experience and still the reigning champion of Marco Polo, Edgar De Jesus, and his co-host, John JJ Flawless, the fastest netter in the West, and Zach the Pool Boy Nicholas.
Welcome, everybody. I am your host, Leanne De Jesus, and yes, I am the reigning champion of Marco Polo, along with Janie Flawless, the fastest netter in the West, and the famous Jeanette, the pool girl, Horn. And do me a favor, don't adjust your volume. You're hearing correctly. This is a female podcast.
Let's go.
Let's go. This is a new tradition that we've started at Pool Nation. Once we follow the Women's Summit, we are doing a podcast for women, by women, and we've kicked all the boys out. What we have done, technically, not kicked them out. We've demoted them down to the boo couch and the boo chair. So they are in studio with us today. We've got Benny, who joins the Women's Summit and helps out, I think. He basically does and runs around and does all the technical stuff that Edgar can't get to. We have John and Edgar in studio with us. They're not allowed to talk. They're just allowed to boo. But if they boo, they know that will get them into a lot of trouble. And a special guest we have today is Bobby.
Yes.
And he is Janie and John's oldest son. So we're excited they finally let him come to Texas, which I was interviewing him earlier going, so I like it. I'm hoping that he helps us convince you once and for all to move to Texas.
Oh, he's ready.
So far, I think he's a huge fan.
Ready.
So that's going to be awesome. So today we're going to talk about the 2024 third annual Women's Summit, which I'm super excited about. And again, this is becoming an ongoing tradition for Pool Nation after the Women's Summit. I want to welcome everybody to the podcast. It's the podcast where it's all pool talk, and we ain't talking about netting and jetting and splashing and dashing. We're talking about becoming a nation of pool pros. And yes, we will talk about the latest products, trends, and training in the pool industry. Before we get started today, I want to thank the visionary partners for this podcast, Ultimate Pool Tools, the SBPA, Blu-ray, XL, Aquastar Pool Products, Natural Chemistry, Raypak, Heritage Pool Supply, and the newest member of our Pool Nation family, Hayward Pool Products. We want to thank them for their continued support. And I'm going to get my tongue untied here pretty soon. As a reminder, nominations for the Pool Nation Awards are going to be September 11th on Instagram Live. It's going to be announced there. So everybody's probably waiting to see what's going to come out of there. I'm excited about that too.
For sure.
I try not to know too much ahead of time because that's all the talk that goes on at my house, by the way, is, leading up to the Pool Nation Awards. So there's a lot going on. Just some housekeeping items. The Pool Nation Spotlight and Insight Heritage Pool Pro Appreciation is coming up. If you haven't downloaded that, please take the time to do that. It's worth doing for sure. The Pool Nation Conference is happening November 9th, 10th, and 11th. In that conference, there's going to be a lot of coverage on technical, hands-on, business, and retail classes. So I think that really covers all the areas that most people are asking for at this time. Heritage Pool Pro Appreciation, November 11th, hands-on approach. It's going to be more of an apple bar concept for business, which I think is going to be really cool. It's going to be something I think new that they haven't done in the past. So that's going to be nice to see. So as we get started, I'm going to welcome Janie. How are you?
I'm great. How are you?
I'm doing fantastic. Are you tired like I am after the last couple of days?
I am exhausted.
Yeah.
I am still recovering from bowling, even though we only bowled for about 30 minutes.
Isn't that weird? Right?
I have a slight limp.
Blame it on the shoes. That's anytime I limp, it's my shoes.
It's the shoes.
It's not the
I'm
muscles.
Not wearing my Crocs.
Yeah, that you couldn't bowl in Crocs.
No,
you'd be flying down the front, right? I would actually think John would try it just to say that he does everything in his Crocs.
Oh, he did.
I knew it. I knew it. It's funny how when you do that bowling, it's not that much, right? The ball's like 7 or 10 pounds, but you're working muscles you haven't actually done.
No,
It's
my ball was
embarrassing.
8 pounds. It was nothing.
And I walked away with a limp.
Yeah.
I'm telling you, it's the shoes.
Still recovering. This was what, 2 days ago?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So when you wear ugly shoes, it's going to make you limp. I'm sure
Yeah.
that's it.
Yeah.
Good morning, Jeanette. How are you?
Good morning. I'm well.
Good. Good. So you didn't bowl?
No,
No.
no,
So did you just sit and eat and chat like I did?
we did.
Yeah. I took sort of an observer approach at that whole after event. It's amazing how much when you do these after events, how many more people that you end up meeting and talking to. And right, I ended up having a great time at the after event.
Definitely, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was great.
It was.
Yeah.
I was surprised by that thought of let's go to Pinstack because I've done it with my company a lot of times, and it's amazing how much gets done there accidentally or holistically, right?
Right. Yeah.
It really does. We had some great conversations, and it turned into business conversations and planning and strategy for next time. Let's do this and let's do that. And I'm like, I left there. My daughter kept calling me, going, "You guys are empty nesters now, and you're out late. Why are you out late? You need to get home." I'm like, "Are you almost there?" Because she was driving back from Oklahoma. And she's like, "No, I'm an hour out, but you need to start leaving now because you guys are out past your bedtime." I'm like, so this is what we're going to be facing going forward. I'm sure of it.
Did they not know that we were in town? We usually keep you guys out until everything closes.
I forgot to use you as an excuse.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was a good one.
Every time.
I should have. You do. Now it's funny because I heard from Zach that he gets to bed early now. And I'm like, but you have to put that away when you come here because we don't allow getting to bed early. Even when we say we want to, it doesn't happen. No. First, you got to eat your way through North Texas, right?
Absolutely.
And I understand from Bobby, he's learning that the food here is amazing.
He is.
And then you've got to stay up and chit chat and close the place down. That's a tradition that we've also started a few years back. So it works
Yep.
out well, right?
Absolutely.
100%. All right. So I think to get us started this morning, I'm going to put you both on the spot, which I know you love that.
It's my favorite.
I know. And I knew it would be. So I'm doing this for you. I want to make sure that the listeners that don't normally have access to you understand who you are and what you do. So just do me a favor, give us an introduction of who you are and what you do, your business, your background, and anything personal you want to share. Because we found out in the last 2 days, there was a lot of personal sharing at the Women's Summit, right?
Right?
Yeah.
I think I shared the least at the Women's Summit. I had people walking up to me going, "So how did your company get in the pool business?" I'm like, no. Not at all what happened. My company we've done some weird things in my company, but we are not in the pool business. So I had to explain for those
Yeah.
of them that didn't know, I'm actually married to Edgar. That's how I get looped in.
Pool
So-
business by marriage.
I am.
Yes.
Yep. I get sucked into a lot of things that way. So Janie, I'm going to go ahead and start with you. Let everybody know who you are, what you do, and anything personal you want to share other than you have a son in studio.
I do. Yes.
Go
Okay.
ahead.
Well, I'm Janie Flawless, aka Mama Flawless. I belong to John. We own J&J Flawless Pool Service out in California.
Wait, did you say you belong to John?
I did.
Did I hear that?
I did.
You know I'm going to call you on that. All right, we're going to start over. No, I'm just-
I learned that he gets serious separation anxiety. when you're on
He
break.
He
does.
does. So do I. We are a unit.
Yeah,
We are one.
you're definitely a
Yeah.
unit. All right, you belong to John.
Yes.
Okay, I'll accept that. Go ahead.
He is the red to my blue. We'll cover that later. Yeah, we own a pool service business out in California for about a decade now. We do
Wow.
service repairs, installs, all that fun stuff, which I love. Yeah, a
So you're in the part of California that gets extreme heats too, don't you?
little bit. Yeah, 125.
Oh my
Very
God.
fun in the summer. I can't wait till it's over. It's finally starting to cool off where nights are like 70s, 80s. And it's absolutely wonderful.
So it's another good opportunity to move to Texas because we get hot, but we don't get 120.
Oh, this is nothing.
Oh, I
This
know.
is nothing.
I know. So
Yeah.
you need to improve your quality of life
I
and
know.
get your butt on out here.
We do.
Now you're also the mother of 4.
Yes, I am.
What are your age of your children?
We're going to have, let's see, he's going to be our youngest is going to be 14 next month. And then we have 16, Bobby, who's 18, and our daughter, who's 21.
Awesome.
Yes.
So your kids almost mirror our kids' ages too.
Yep. We have, let's see, you have one older. We have
And you have one
one
younger.
younger.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
kinda
So
funny.
impressive that you run the business that you do because it's massive, especially for just you guys. And I know you have some hired help now.
Yeah.
But also raising 4 kids, 3 of which I am going to point out are boys. Oh my
Yes.
God. Right?
Yeah.
No offense, Bobby, but man, I think my boys have been a bit of a handful more than my girls for sure. And you'd think it would be the opposite, but no.
Yeah.
And I think your daughter is a nice mixed clone between you and John.
She's perfect.
Yeah.
She's a perfect mix.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
You're not supposed to say that. Bobby's in the studio.
Yeah, the perfect mix.
She
Perfect
is.
mix. Yes.
She is. She's
Yeah.
amazing. So she's been able to come out a few times too. So
Yeah.
it's been awesome to get to know your kids. So
Yeah.
I'm looking forward. I'm now getting to know kid number 2.
Yeah, Bobby's a lot more like me. He's more chill and kind of goes with the flow. Happy kid. He's awesome. Yeah.
Yeah. So our daughter Sienna graduated the same time that Bobby did. So it's funny that we have 2 18-year-olds that are now full-fledged adults, and
It's crazy, right?
it's terrifying. Yeah.
I look at him and I'm just like, wow.
I know.
How'd that happen?
I know.
That was so
and
fast.
It happens overnight. We got text messages from Sienna in the middle of the night. She, again, she's learning to adult. They had a flood in their bathroom at the dorm. So she's dealing with plumbers. And of course, she sends a picture of the plumber's backside sticking out of the top of his pants. Going, look what I'm doing at 2 a.m. I'm like, oh my God, right? So, but she had to, you had to figure out how to solve those problems herself. And I absolutely love it. She is a firecracker, and she's trailing her own way. So I love it.
That's
so
awesome.
yeah, it's very cool.
Bobby's also a pool guy. He comes with me to work multiple times a week, and he's been doing that for how many years? Have you been doing that? No, it's been more than 2 years. Probably 3, maybe 4. I don't know. He's been coming out for a while. I used to drag him along every summer, or when there's no school. I'm like,
Yeah,
you're working.
So congratulations to you two, because Edgar tried looping our kids into the pool business. It didn't work.
Yeah.
It didn't stick. They just, first of all, Dylan was like, no, it's too hard work. I'm not going to do it.
Yeah. That's my daughter. She's like, I'll run the office. I'm not sticking my hand in a skimmer or touching a pool vac.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now the girls got better about, Brianna was young, and you'd see her out there with a test kit, and she's working it. So Jaden did a summer jobs a couple of times doing pools, but
That's
not for us.
Yeah.
He actually did really well with it. But, until he gets his license and drives, he's stuck not doing pools for sure.
Yeah.
I know. That's
Yeah.
a key. All right, Jeanette, you're up. Tell us a little bit about you.
Well, I'm Jeanette Horn. I own Horn Family Pools out in Maybank, Texas, East Texas. I've been in that area for about 27 years, since 2011 on my own. My husband used to work with me. He does no longer. He works in distribution. I have a 25-year-old son who does work with me. I think we were going on 4 years with him in that capacity, and we've got about 80 pools on service. I do repairs and maintenance. I also am warranty station for the 3 larger manufacturers, and secretary for the Rockwall chapter of IPSA, and secretary for the North Dallas chapter of the PHTA.
Wow.
Awesome.
So you got a full plate.
Yeah.
You know what you left out?
Oh, my grandbaby.
Oh, I know.
yeah.
I knew. So the most important thing about Jeanette and her world right now, we do not be fooled. It is that grandbaby.
Oh, it sure is.
Tell us about that grandbaby. I want to touch the curls.
Oh,
I just
yeah,
want to
no.
touch the curls.
Her curls are perfect. Oh, she's going to
She's
be
so
2.
cute.
She's going to be 2 years old already. She's just perfect.
She is.
Every chance I get to be with her, I roll up in the morning. I'm like, hey, can you bring the baby out?
Yeah, right. I'm here. Where's the baby?
Right.
I'm not here to see you.
Nope.
Yeah, and I learned that early on when I had my first child. I'd go see my mom, and she lived in a different state. We'd be there about 20 minutes before she actually recognized that we were there.
Right.
Because she was, too much fawning over the baby. So we know what's important in your
yeah.
world right now. Love the son, but that grandbaby, son's been knocked down a peg or 2.
Yeah. There was one time I did kind of make the comment about her being my favorite. And he heard that. He was like, thanks, Mom.
It's a true story though. They need to understand it. It's just like when you get married and you're the whole world, right? You're the blue to the red kind of thing until the kids come along, and then you get bumped down, the important ladder quite a bit. And I told Edgar early on, I understand that I'm not the most important girl in your life anymore. I get it, and that's good. That's the kind of relationship you want to have with the kids. But yeah, that grandbaby. So Jeanette was showing me pictures when we were at the summit, and I'm like, first of all, she looks like she's gonna be tall.
Yeah.
So she looks like she's gonna be tall, but
She did not get the tallness from me, obviously.
And I said, I know she's not going to appreciate those curls, but I'm going to appreciate them for her because they are gorgeous. So she is a big part of your life. So congratulations on
Thank
that.
you.
Love that. So you do have a full plate, but we know what's on your priority list, and that's good. As it absolutely should be, for sure. All right, great. So I want to get us started. I'm gonna cite a couple of things that that we saw at the summit on day one, that and then I'm going to have you guys jump in and comment for me. So Matt from Heritage opened up and he talked about, boy, year one, there was like 22 people, and it wasn't held at Heritage, right? It
Right.
was held in a studio that we had in Frisco. And then by year two, we jumped into Heritage and it was 80 people.
Yep.
And we looked at that big auditorium room that they have there, which is fantastic. Heritage is amazing in that space. And it looked amazing with 80 women in there. It's
Right.
like, wow, that's
Yeah.
so cool, right?
Yes.
And so you guys were at year one. I came to year two. You guys were at year two. And then here we are at year three, and we maxed out at 100 and I'm going to guess 27 people. And then I saw chairs being wheeled in because we needed space for John and Zach and Benny to be
Yeah.
able to sit down because we
Even
had
the
to give up
ladies, there was chairs.
was there? Okay, I
squeezed in.
missed
Yeah.
that. Yeah. So
Yeah.
so that room got packed at
Yeah.
127 plus people, and it looked gorgeous, right? It was amazing. Everybody was just brought their whole self to that thing.
Yeah.
So I want to kind of capture some of your things that you saw from year one. What kind of things did you capture in year one that was beneficial to you? Get you into year two. Now, obviously, it's a whole nother thing, and I think it kind of grew and developed, and then ultimately into year three. So let's just, and you jump in how you want, but let's start with year one. What did you take away from year one?
Year one was kind of like, wow, there's more women in this industry than I thought, or than it feels like, because we're out there by ourselves, so it feels like we're just alone. I'm lucky enough that I had John, but there's a lot of women out there that don't have a John and are trying to do it alone in a male industry, and they get a lot of pushback and things like that. So it was really cool to see that there are more women than we think, and then we just don't feel so alone.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, you hear a lot of that, the women saying that they're, in this male-dominated industry. And obviously, I'm not in the pool industry, I'm in the supply chain industry.
Right.
Men everywhere,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So I actually get fueled by that. I love being like one of the only women present because, I can really just be myself. And sometimes they appreciate it, sometimes they don't.
Right.
And I'm okay with that. I'm okay with that. So what about this going into the second year? What did you see when you went? And again, Jeanette, you're always jumping in there helping out Pool Nation
Always.
with setup and tear down. So I know you're working it too, right? But you're also there to absorb what's going on. What did you take away from year two as it grew?
Year two, it was, there were so many more people that, so there are more speakers covering more topics that, and off the top of my head, I can't think of what they were last year, honestly. But, it's nice to see so many women that are willing to give of their time to come and speak to us, to teach us, to mentor us. I guess not. I don't like to use the teach, but to mentor. And then you just have that camaraderie of with all the other women. Like you can sit and talk to your neighbor that may not understand something, or just you come at things from a different aspect, and you can come to losing my voice. You can come to a clarification of something that was being said. Just you have different perspectives, just in general.
Yeah.
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 Yeah. Did you pick up on that too?
Yeah.
Anything
Because you can
else
talk to
came in?
someone that's doing the same thing in the same industry, and they have different ways of doing things where you're just like, oh, wow, okay, I never thought of doing it that way. It's just kind of motivating, gives you inspiration to kind of think of other ways to do things.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I saw a lot of that where, again, when you look at the people in the room too, they're not from the same grouping in the pool industry, right? You got
Right.
people in sales, you got people that have pool companies like you guys, you got people in marketing, you got, just
Yeah.
all different aspects. So they all bring something unique and different to the table.
Yeah.
Yeah.
For sure.
And I can tell
Builders,
I can tell you what was
everything.
talked about in year two, only on what I covered, so I can't help you there either.
Year two was just like more girl power. You know what I mean? Like, oh, I thought there was a lot before. Wow, there's even more now, and even more areas of the pool business, that are in there. And it's just really inspiring. And I always leave just pumped and motivated. Like, I'm just sitting there thinking, I'm going to start to do this. I'm going to do this. That's a great idea. You know what I mean? And then I just go home and I'm telling John, okay, I think we should do this, this, and this. And he's like, that sounds great, and it just, I don't know. It just totally just pumps me up to like be better and do better. And I don't know. I just leave feeling like a superhero.
Well, and it's funny because when you do think of year two, I love that you mentioned that because it did bring back the memories of that too. There was a lot of girl power in there.
There was.
and along with that came a little man bashing, which was fun. It was fun. It was good, right? It was
just a little bit was in there, yeah.
Just a little bit. There was much less this year with the man bashing,
yeah.
but there was a lot of true girl power in there of really helping build women.
Just badass
support,
women.
Yeah, badass women supporting each other, really jumping in there to help, and just really want to, as Alicia would say, stand there and hold each other, hold each other's ladder, right? Like, really kind of that girl power thing, and there was a lot of good relationships and things like that were brought up at that point too.
I was just gonna say that too. A lot of friends made, a lot of relationships, and everyone was just networking. It was awesome. Yeah.
Now remember, I'm gonna bring us back to year two. Remember, Casey McGovern spoke about, every child a swimmer.
Yes.
Yeah.
And there was a lot of emotion in that room over that course of, there were times when we were laughing because Alicia can crack you up in a second, right? So Edgar choosing her as an MC, I think, is brilliant. And the fact that she continues to give of herself to do that is awesome.
Yeah.
So she'd have us laughing and then Casey would have us crying. And it was like, there was so many, this is myriad of emotions.
Emotional roller coaster.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Full on, right?
Yeah.
And it just kept happening. And I'm like, oh my gosh, who thought this would? We also see that at the Pool Nation Awards. A lot of emotion going on in there too, right?
So definitely.
So it's like we laughed a lot about the fact that we could laugh and cry together as women and watch that whole thing unfold. Now it was fun this year to have Casey McGovern in the audience, and she brought her sister and her team was there, and it was great to see her continue, not because she was a speaker, but because now she's pulling strength from all these different women and really growing and developing. And so that was kind of cool to see too.
For sure.
So now we're in year three. We're packed house. It's absolutely massive.
Yep.
And now it's taken on more speakers, different content. What kind of things did you pull away from this year?
Let's see. It's kind of just the same kind of things, but just more power, more energy, more inspiration. The classes continue to get better every year, which I really love. And just, I don't know, just more and more empowering to me.
Good.
Yeah. I like to see more and more women, it's just every year I hope it just gets bigger and bigger.
Yeah. And we're going to talk about that because I think that might be a problem.
Yeah. It's not just a fad. It's going to be a thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's funny how you watch something that came across as an idea and now it's just really been cemented into what everybody wants and expects going forward, right?
Like
it's just been cemented.
The women's event, you know?
It is. It is. It's the.
Yeah.
And I'll give you some feedback that I got from people when we were at Pinstack too. It was, I found interesting. Jeanette, what'd you pull away from year three?
Took away, the big key thing for me was authenticity. That's hard to do.
That was a big theme.
You're trained from a wee one to act this way, do this, don't, especially as women.
Yep.
We're told you can't speak aloud, you need to be small. And so it's when you're balling yourself up a lot of the time, as an adult, you keep balling yourself up and you don't always know how to express yourself. And so that is something that I have been working on for a couple of years now, is to try to be authentic, to step out of myself, to be who I really am. Because I know I'm not this quiet little mouse all of the time. I used to not be when I was a kid. I know that for sure. The joke was I never shut up. And so now I'm working really hard on just to be my authentic self. And so to keep hearing that over and over and over and over and over again is kind of like hammering that home for me. That's an important thing that I took away from that.
I love that. And so because I've watched you over the last few years, I'm gonna jump in here and comment too. So, and I hear Edgar joke around about it, right? Like when you won Pool Girl of the Year,
Right.
you know we're gonna talk about it, right?
Yeah.
You win Pool Girl of the Year, and you get up there, and your speech was looking down. Thank you, and off you went, right? Thank you. I'm out.
Tears.
And tears.
Thank you.
Joined with tears and a thank you. And then Edgar commented during the summit, the women's summit, you actually volunteered to read this really long piece in front of, over 130 something women or whatever, right? And it's like, that was not the Jeanette we knew 3 years ago.
No.
So,
100%, no.
so you are making huge strides just in that space alone, right?
Right.
And that was a big theme, be your authentic self.
Mm-hmm.
I used to have a girl on my team that was super introverted, really quiet. Some of it was cultural. She was, a young Asian female that was just, kind of in a family that was male dominated and kind of kept her down. And she was fantastic, but she was so quiet and introverted. And I used to always tell her, just be loud and proud. Just be loud and proud. Be loud. She'd stand outside my office. Couldn't see her, but I could feel somebody was there. And I'm like, hello, is somebody there? She'd peek around with a little question. I'm like, loud and proud. Come on, loud and proud. And here, if you fast forward, I don't even remember, probably 20 years later, I'm going to Hong Kong for business. And she had moved back to Hong Kong to get her master's degree. And she was working for a major company out there. And it gave me such pride when her and I met up for dinner. And I never would have thought in a million years, I'm going to meet her in Hong Kong for dinner someday. And she sat there and said, you can't know how many times I hear you in my voice saying, be loud and proud, be loud and proud. She goes, you're the
That's
reason
awesome.
I've gotten to where I am, because I've had to jump out and be loud and proud. She goes, and every time I'm afraid to speak up, I think it and I hear you loud and proud, loud and proud. So I'm hoping that you do the same thing with be your authentic self, right?
Yeah.
And I think, you guys correct me if I'm wrong, I really felt like in that room, everybody was giving permission to everybody. Just be yourself.
Oh,
Oh,
definitely.
Right?
for sure.
Yes.
Like that was
Yeah.
one of the big things I took away from.
Yeah.
I loved it. It was, just everybody has permission to get out there and do what they need to do and
Yeah.
just be themselves.
For sure.
Right.
Yeah.
And there was a lot of that I thought was
Yeah.
impressive.
yes.
Right.
Mhm.
So what are some of the things? So you've gone back to John and said, okay, John, here's what we're going to do. This is my ideas. What are some of the things that you've implemented from the past? Can you think of anything that you've walked away from and said, now we've made these changes or we've implemented this?
Well, now you put me on the spot. I
Oh,
can't
I
think of
know.
it at the moment. Yeah, I can't think of it right now.
Can't think of it.
Well, I've taken more of a active role
Mhm.
as the woman in my company, and usually I tend to hide behind John and kind of let him do the talking and the dealing with the customers and stuff like that. I'm like, no, you call him,
Yeah.
So, I've tried to be more of a bigger role.
Good.
And do things that are outside my comfort zone, with employees and customers, stuff like that.
Yeah. No,
Yeah.
that's great. It's easy to fall behind somebody that's got a dominant personality,
Oh,
right?
yeah.
Anybody that knows John, right?
Yes. And he's amazing. So it's like, I can't
I
follow
can't
that
do
up.
that.
I'm like, are you serious? You want me to do that? Like, no.
So you do it a couple of times and you realize, hey, that's a muscle I can flex.
Yeah.
I get better
Yeah.
at it.
I'm like, I can. And he's always telling me I can too. And I'm like, no. He's like, yes, you can. You're great. You can do it. I'm like, no, go ahead.
So, John, don't let her fall into that again. Make sure you're pushing her out front.
Yeah.
Push you out front. But, one thing that I find from a lot of things is the more you do something, the more comfortable you get with it, right?
sure.
Like Jeanette speaking up in front of people and
Mhm.
putting yourself out there.
Yeah.
Now, do you struggle with that with customers, or have you seen a change in yourself in that space too?
No, I have seen a change in that. I don't really have a problem speaking with customers unless I have to give them bad news.
Yeah, right.
Like,
This is going to be really
You're going to have
expensive
to
for
pay
you.
me some more money.
Yeah.
In that area, I had some issues. But I am worked through that, so I don't feel bad anymore. I used to feel so guilty. Like, you're in business to make money,
Right.
you know. But nobody likes to be the bearer of bad news. So I did have to work. I took a lot of what from last year. That was something. Just the whole being around other women, seeing so many powerful women who are in positions that I would only dream of being in, and drawing power from that, and just learning how to kind of navigate certain ways of addressing things. So I just,
That's incredible.
Mm-hmm.
And it's funny because you hear people say all the time, I want to see somebody in that role that looks like me. And you see that and you don't really resonate with you. And then you start seeing powerful women in these roles and you're like, oh, that's,
yeah.
yeah,
okay, that's what that means.
Yeah.
And I can do that, right?
yeah.
And so have some of the business classes helped you with that as well? Because I know that there's a
Oh.
lot of the financials.
Absolutely, yes, yeah, definitely.
So what kind of things have you been able to
You can
resonate and pull
you know,
from?
just being able to track everything so much more precisely, and learning how to kind of read the things that I didn't used to read before. Honestly, that was like the dreaded task. And so, I would glance at them and kind of have a basic idea, but now I'm a little more thorough and can keep tabs on what's going where and what needs to go where.
Yeah.
And
Kind of gives you a little power when I actually need to make this kind of money on this, otherwise I'm going to start losing it.
exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it gives you a little bit more strength from that standpoint.
Yes.
That's good.
Yeah.
That's good. Now, have you had anybody in your family, probably your husband, I'm sure, but anybody else notice a change in you as you started to evolve over the last few years?
So I don't know. My family, we don't really live around. I've got my son and
Mhm.
there, but most of my family lives out of state.
Oh,
So,
okay.
so we don't have.
So they're not seeing it firsthand.
No,
We see it firsthand.
thank you.
Right?
Hence why you're here today. Look at you
Yeah.
on a podcast, Jeanette. Like do one of those, like, pat yourself on the back real quick. 'Cause I think that's a big deal. That's amazing. So, and by the way, you're crushing it.
No, thank you.
So right. Absolutely crushing it. So, and I noticed, Edgar, from the chat, we've had some system issues. Hopefully we're not freezing up too much. So, I'm trying to watch the chat, but it's mostly we've got some freezing issues. So
Yeah.
I'm hoping that when we're freezing up that we're not all making a funny face, because that's the worst.
That would be the worst.
Those are the worst freeze up moments, right? That usually happens to me at work all the time. You froze and you made a, 'cause
Yeah.
I tend to be a little bit too expressive. So let's talk about now. We're going to stick in year 3, right? Let's talk about if you were to take that whole day and a half and narrow it down to the one biggest nugget, and it doesn't have to be the same nugget, but the biggest nugget that you walked away from. Like if you had to narrow it down to your most favorite thing from year 3 of the Women's Summit, what is your favorite thing that you're taking away from?
I really enjoyed Jamie and Alicia's class when it was breaking down personalities and what people are like, how to deal with those type of people. I forget what was that?
It was like the color,
system
the color
called?
code, I think.
Was it the color code?
I think so.
I can't remember what it was called, but it was absolutely fascinating. And I was just like studying everything, taking pictures, and I'm like, okay, I'm this color. John's my red. I was picking out like, okay, that's Zach. That's my son. That's my daughter. You know what I mean? So I'm like, I'm going to go home and I'm actually going to give them that test or the little, not really a test, but the little evaluation sheet that they
Mhm.
gave us. And I'm like, I'm giving it to all 4 of my kids, our employee. And I'm like, this is great. And it's, I don't know, that kind of stuff is so fascinating. Like when they were, Doreen was talking about what happens in your brain, when certain situations, and I just love like the deep dive into stuff like that. I just think it's so fascinating.
Yeah, it's funny because when we do stuff like that at work, my first thought is, because we have a lot of those different personality things. My first thought is, I first I try to guess. I definitely know this is Edgar. I know this is my son. I know,
Yeah.
I act like I can completely pinpoint them. But then what's even more fun is I'll go home and I'll tell them, so this is what the description is of me. Does that fit? And before I even get halfway through it, they're like, oh yeah. It's like,
Yeah.
they get a little excessive sometimes and on my personality.
And it just kind of makes you feel more comfortable with yourself in
Yeah.
a way. And you're like, oh, I am like that. Okay. Yeah, I'm that too. And I'm like, wow, that is pretty spot on in certain areas, you know?
Well, sometimes it's just the self-recognition, right? Like this is how I am. This is how I react to things. This is why I think the way I do. This is the way I behave
And
the
then
way
you just
I do.
kind of like accept it
Yeah.
a little bit. And
Yeah.
then you kind of embrace it like, okay, you know, I can work on a few things maybe to not be so much of that sentence, but you know what I mean?
Well, and it's funny because then when you learn about other people, you get a better understanding of, now that's why I know why I conflict with that person on a regular basis.
Right. Or now I know how to get through to this person. And maybe if I'm trying to,
Absolutely.
you know, push too much for this person, that's not going to work. Or this person really needs me to push
Yeah.
that to do that too, you know?
Yeah. I had an experience when I was with Hilton years ago. We had an executive chef, and everything that we did, him and I butt heads. Everything. It could be, let's talk about the performance of this, associate, and we'd butt heads. Everything was a butt head. And I couldn't figure it out. And we went through something similar to that where they put us all in a room, the whole leadership team, and mapped out our personalities. And they put them on this pie chart, right? And they had, it kind of showed your social styles, right? Like this, this person's really social. This one's analytic. This one's, practical, that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And lo and behold, I was very, very practical. I'm all about, there's something got to get done. Let's jump in there and get it done. Meanwhile, this chef was very, very social. And I never understood that because I never socialized or saw him as a social person. But when you went up to his area, he had all these pictures of his past meeting with celebrities and cooking for them and doing all this stuff. And he was very, very social. So to get him to do what I needed him to do, I had to, and again, my practical self didn't love this, but I needed to socialize with him a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
So I would call him and say, hey, can I come spend some time up there with you for a minute? And blah, blah, blah. And I'd come up to his area and I'd be asking him questions. When did you meet this celebrity? Oh, what event was that from? Blah, 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 blah. And then it became, he'd ask me to come up and we would do tastings for an event that's coming up.
Yeah.
And it was in those social aspects that I would ask him, hey, can we talk about, how we want to approach your, talent review or your talent development process? I'm like, yeah, great. And all of a sudden we could line up and get done what we needed to do. But I had to give up my practical nature and let's just get it done.
You had to work for it.
I had to build time in there to socialize with this guy. But man, I got stuff done. And I had to give up, my way of doing things, not 100%, but just for a little bit.
Yeah.
To give him time to socialize. And when he socialized with you, he would do anything with you. He would partner left and right. So that's a really neat way to understand, how does my personality fit with that personality and how can I get things done?
Right.
Right?
Yeah.
How can I move through and maneuver through? And we at the end of the day, we had the same goal. It was just how we got there.
Right.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And like
So-
in your class, the about productivity,
Mhm.
taking people out of the office during COVID, giving them space to do things on their own, and how much that made a difference. I thought that was really interesting. I worked in kind of an office setting for like 20 years of my life. So I was sitting there going, oh, that makes total sense, because you're worried about, what other people are thinking that you're doing, and you're trying to look like you're busy because you don't want to look like you're not working. But when you take away all the noise and you just focus on what you need to do, then you get way more done. I thought that was really interesting too.
Yeah, that whole below the line behaviors and
Yeah, above the line,
above
below the line.
Yeah,
Yeah, I like
above the
that.
line and below the line, and it was funny because as soon as we removed, and I see that a lot with even our kids, and it can apply so many places. Of if we stop making excuses, right, and just remove all those below the line behaviors,
Yep.
and just give people an opportunity to do what they know they need to do and do it best, and keep them above the line and focusing on those end goals, It's
Yeah.
amazing how much they can accomplish.
Yeah.
And we saw our productivity shoot through the roof.
So that's a take home for me too. So I'm like, okay, above the line, below the line,
Yeah.
employee, children. You know what I mean?
I love it when my kids would come home and have a bad math score. And I'm like, what happened? And they're like, the whole class did bad, Mom. I'm like, the whole class. I'm like, yeah, let's not talk about the whole class. Let's talk about you. Let's talk about what
Yeah.
you need to do to get back into that good graces. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So it looks like it's time to take a word from our sponsors. So we're going to take a quick break and hear from our sponsors. And when we come back, Jeanette, you're in the hot seat, girl. I want to hear what your biggest nugget was that you took away.
Okay.
All right. Thanks.
The Hyper Pole from Ultimate Pool Tools is a pool care pole designed by pool professionals for pool professionals, featuring precision-crafted carbon fiber and stainless steel construction. Go to ultimatepooltools.com or Instagram at Ultimate Pool Tools. Pool pros have specific needs when it comes to general liability insurance. The SPPA program has you covered. With 3 tailored and customizable general liability options, SPPA makes it easy for pool pros to feel secure. Find out more and get covered at thesppa.com. Now available, Pool Invoice. Pool Invoice is a pool billing software created specifically for the pool service and repair industry. It's developed for our industry and only our industry. Pool Invoice is built with recurring billing in mind. You can print, email, text invoices, or even send via WhatsApp. You can add reoccurring or yearly charges, accept credits, and set up autopay. You can even see when customers have seen the invoice. It even has a customer portal where they can log in and see, print, and pay invoices. It has all your customers' information on one page, so you don't need to search through hundreds of invoices looking for the one you need. Just go to the customer profile and it's all at your fingertips. Created specifically for the pool industry, Pool Invoice. Now available at poolinvoice.com. Blu-ray XL is the power of minerals working for you. Reduce your overall chemical costs and labor up to 50% guaranteed. Whether you have 20 accounts or 20,000, Blu-ray XL's direct pricing and free shipping to the pool trade have you covered. Improving pool professionals' profit and work-life balance is what they do. Blu-ray XL, the real mineral purifier. Visit them at BluRayXL.com.
Blu-ray all day.
Aquastar's new pipeline cartridge filters, available in 2 sizes, deliver top-notch hydraulic efficiency along with best-in-class filtration performance, approaching that of DE filters. Uniquely designed, open pleat spacing means 100% of the media square footage is usable. And these claims are backed by NSF test results. Designed with the pro's time and comfort in mind, the patented double-locking system improves safety and ease of access, making filter cleaners faster than ever before. Available now. Ask your supplier for pipeline filters today.
Natural Chemistry, a leader in specialty water care solutions for over 30 years, is proud to provide products that make pool service easier than ever before. Its unique enzyme formulations in Pro Series Pro Blend improve efficiency of your pool program while reducing frequency of filter cleaning and scum lines. Natural Chemistry is also well known for its wide variety of phosphate removal solutions that include a non-clouding formula in Phos-Free and extremely high-range removal with Pro Series Phos Remove or Phos-Free Max. Save time, save money, save work with Pro Series products. Stop sacrificing durability or efficiency with the help of Raypak's new Avia HD models that utilize NITEC, their exclusive industry-first technology. NITEC heat exchanger technology is Raypak's latest solution to superior strength and maximum efficiency when it comes to residential pool heating. With 900% more nickel compared to copper nickel in critical surfaces, NITEC creates an ideal surface to protect against scale formation and erosion without compromising on Avia's 84% thermal efficiency. Learn more at raypak.com/NITEC. The next evolution in lighting is here. Universal Color Logic 2.0 from Hayward. The latest in pool and spa lighting was designed with you in mind, making installation a breeze. Upgrades include a detachable cord and first-of-a-kind adjustable lower catch to overcome variations in plaster thickness. As always, Universal Color Logic lights retrofit into virtually any in-ground pool or spa while delivering industry-leading, vibrant color. Visit Hayward.com to discover more.
Oh,
All right. So we are back. And Jeanette, I think I gave you enough headway to say, when we come back, I want to hear your nuggets that you took away from year 3 at the Women's Summit. So what are some of the things that, or the biggest nugget that you took away from that you're going to use?
boundaries.
Tell me about that. What do you mean?
Well, I am a people pleaser.
Oh, okay.
And sometimes I don't say no when I want to say no. I'm learning to say yes when I want to say yes. So, but boundaries to me, sometimes you take on roles that within your family function or work life, whatever, that you don't want to, or you feel guilty that you're not, somebody may expect you to do something that you don't want to do. Mm-hmm. And I end up not doing the things that I want to do because I'm doing something that somebody else wants me to do. And I'm learning that I have to say no when I want to say no and yes when I want to say yes.
Now, what part of the session got you there?
Stacy.
Oh,
Bear, I think is her last name.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. Just her whole the boundaries and
that's interesting.
Yeah.
Because when you said boundaries, I thought, we talked a lot about we're just going to do whatever the hell we want.
Yeah.
And so when you're like boundaries, I'm thinking, no, there's no boundaries. You don't have to, but you're putting boundaries on other people.
Yes.
Awesome. So I'm going to do what I want to do. So it gives me time to do the things I want to, less than what I don't want to do.
Yes.
That's
exactly.
Great. So is that both professionally and personally?
Oh, 100%.
Do we need to tell your husband and your son?
No. I will tell them. No, I'm kidding. It's not them, but
we're gonna surprise them with, I'm not doing anything you want me to do going forward.
Right. Yeah.
That would be awesome. That's a good one too, right? Boundaries.
Mm-hmm.
And I think, there's a lot of things that we see when we do spend a lot of time on things that are non-value add. And we hear that in the corporate world, right?
Yes.
And we talked a little bit about it during some of the presentations when you spend time on things that don't add value or that aren't important to you
mm-hmm.
or that don't bring you to that next level that you want to be at, you're wasting time on you're not able to spend time on the things that you should or that bring you forward.
Exactly.
Right.
Yes.
And so, and it also is a time sucker
mm-hmm.
to me. It's an absolute time sucker. One of the things that we talked about in my company, when we go do that whole, that below the line kind of behaviors, and we start placing blame on why we can't do things.
Mm-hmm.
We talked a little bit about it during the presentation, but there's so many excuses and reasons why we can't do something, right?
Right.
And you guys each have your own business, so there's limits technically to what we can do.
Right.
You have a certain budget that you have to work within. You have a certain number of people that work with you or for you. And so you can't just go out and set the world on fire.
Right.
But you do want to grow and develop your business and make sure that it keeps thriving.
Yeah.
So instead of getting, falling victim to what we can't do
mm-hmm.
or spending time on things that don't matter, you're able to stand there and say, we're going to get rid of these things or these activities, this busy work, because it's not getting us where we need to. We're going to focus on these things that launch us into that next level,
mm-hmm.
right?
Yes.
But you got to give yourself permission to do that.
Right.
Yeah.
But it's all about that permission of it's okay.
Yeah.
And it's funny because when we, at one point, we had hit a low point, like COVID had happened. We had a bankruptcy. We were for sale or liquidated, whatever it was going to be. It was anybody's guess at that point, right? We could have sat there as a company and made all kinds of excuses of why we can't get out of this rut, this thing, because we were a victim. We were a victim of a pandemic. But
Right.
guess what? So was the rest of the world.